I woke up with that familiar ache in my knees, a gentle reminder that 76 years is a good long run, but not without its daily toll. The sun was already painting my small bedroom window with the fiery oranges and purples of a phoenix sunrise, pushing through the old Venetian blinds. I swung my legs over the side of the bed, feeling the cool linoleum floor beneath my feet, and pushed myself up with a groan that always sounded louder in the quiet morning. Another day, I thought, another chance to keep things going. My wife, Eleanor, she would have been up already humming some old tune and making coffee. It had been 7 years since she passed, but sometimes I still expected to hear her voice, her gentle footsteps, the clink of her favorite mug. I made my way to the kitchen, carefully setting the kettle on the stove. My pension, God bless it, kept a roof over my head and a few simple meals on the table, but it was a tightrope walk every single month. Every penny was accounted for, stretched thin like an old elastic band. I remember when we never worried about money, not really. We had our ups and downs, but we always had each other, and that felt like true wealth. Now, living alone, the silence often felt heavier than any bill. My dream these days was simple: to stay in my little house, the one Eleanor and I made a home, and to not become a burden to anyone. That was my biggest fear, my internal nemesis, the little voice that whispered late at night. What if you can't manage anymore, Arthur? What then? I ate my oatmeal, slow and deliberate, watching a hummingbird dart through the bougainvillea outside my kitchen window. It was a beautiful, fleeting thing, full of life. I wished I felt as free. After breakfast, I took to my small yard, carefully pruning the rose bushes Eleanor loved so much. The heat was already building, a dry, insistent warmth that got into your bones. I wiped the sweat from my brow with a handkerchief. I tried to do everything myself, even at my age. Fixing the leaky faucet, tightening a loose porch railing, painting a patch of peeling trim. Every repair saved a precious few dollars. I even walked to the grocery store most days, even though my old sedan, bless its rusty heart, probably needed a new transmission anyway. The gas prices alone made driving feel like a luxury. Each time I paid a utility bill, I felt a knot in my stomach, hoping there would be enough left for food, for what truly mattered. But what truly mattered more than anything were my medications. My heart medication, my blood pressure pills, the tablets for my aching joints. Without them, I knew my ability to stay independent would vanish quickly. The last few months had been particularly hard. My water heater decided to give up the ghost, showering me with icy cold water until I managed to patch it up with a lot of YouTube videos and even more prayer. Then, a few weeks ago, I had a nasty fall while trying to clean the gutters, twisting my ankle badly. I spent a scary night on the floor before I could drag myself to the phone. The emergency room visit and the follow-up with the doctor added another stack of bills I simply didn't have the money for. The doctor had also prescribed a new medication for my breathing, something he called a bronchodilator, saying it would help me catch my breath better, especially in the dry Phoenix air. He said it was important, very important. But when the pharmacy told me the cost, my heart sank deeper than my twisted ankle. It was exorbitant. Even with my Medicare Part D, I'd spent days trying to figure out how to pay for it, calling my insurance, going through their complicated automated menus, feeling more and more lost. I even considered selling Eleanor's old porcelain doll collection, a collection she cherished, but the thought of it made my stomach churn. I couldn't bring myself to do it. Today was the day I had to pick up my regular prescriptions, plus that new breathing medicine. I had gathered every loose coin, every crumpled dollar bill I could find. I emptied my emergency coffee can, the one I kept for a true emergency, and even checked under the cushions of Eleanor's old armchair. It wasn't much, but I hoped it would be enough for at least some of the crucial medications. I walked slowly to the pharmacy, the late morning sun already beating down, making the pavement shimmer. Each step felt heavy, not just from my still sore ankle, but from the weight of all the worries piled on my shoulders. The doubt my internal nemesis was shouting now. "You can't do this, Arthur. You're too old. You're running out of road." My palms were sweating as I pushed open the glass doors of the pharmacy, the blast of cool air a stark contrast to the heat outside. The lights inside were bright, almost glaring, and the smell of antiseptic hung in the air. I made my way to the prescription counter, my heart thumping a little faster than usual. "Hello, Arthur." The pharmacist, a kind young man named David, greeted me. He knew me by name. "Picking up your usual plus that new inhaler, right?" I nodded, my voice a little husky. "Yes, David, all of them if I can." He typed on his computer, the clatter of the keyboard echoing in the quiet moment. Then he looked up, his brow furrowed slightly. "Okay, Arthur, for everything today, it's $374.52. My breath caught in my throat. $374. It was more than I had dared to imagine, far more than I had. I swallowed hard, feeling a flush creep up my neck. 300. Are you sure, David? That new one must be quite expensive. He nodded sympathetically. Yes, Arthur, it's a brand new medication and your insurance only covers a small portion right now. I'm so sorry. My shoulders slumped. This was it, the breaking point. I reached into my worn wallet, pulling out a handful of crumpled bills and a collection of coins I had painstakingly gathered. My fingers trembled slightly as I began to count them out on the counter. I have $147.85, I said, my voice barely a whisper, my gaze fixed on the small pile of money, refusing to meet David's eyes. The shame burned through me. I was failing. I was truly failing to keep myself afloat. I could feel the eyes of other customers waiting behind me, though I knew they were probably not even looking my way. My face felt hot. My internal nemesis was screaming now, telling me to give up, to just go home and accept that I couldn't do it anymore. I felt tears pricking at my eyes. Excuse me, a soft voice broke through my despair. I looked up, blinking, to see a young woman standing beside me, a stranger. She had kind eyes, framed by dark hair and a gentle smile. She couldn't have been more than 30. She was holding a small basket of items waiting to pay. Is everything all right, sir? She asked, her voice calm and clear. I just shook my head, unable to speak. David, the pharmacist, looked at her, then back at me, a silent understanding passing between them. Then she did something truly remarkable. She turned to David and said, "Please, just add his prescription total to my bill." "I'll take care of it." My jaw dropped. "No, no, young lady," I stammered, my voice trembling. "You don't have to. I couldn't possibly ask you to do that." My pride, wounded as it was, still tried to assert itself. "It's all right, sir," she insisted gently, placing a reassuring hand lightly on my arm. "Please, consider it a gift, just a small act of kindness." She looked at me directly, her eyes shining with warmth. "We all need a little help sometimes." David, without another word, added the amount to her purchase. She pulled out her credit card and swiped it. The machine beeped, and then it was done, just like that. The total was paid. I stood there, speechless, a lump forming in my throat. The weight that had been pressing down on me for so long, the fear, the doubt, the shame, it all lifted in that single moment. A wave of profound relief washed over me, so powerful it brought tears to my eyes. "Thank you," I finally managed to croak, my voice thick with emotion. "Thank you from the bottom of my heart." She simply smiled, a genuine, radiant smile. "You're very welcome, sir. You have a good day now." And then she took her small bag and walked out, disappearing into the bright Phoenix sun as quickly as she had appeared. I just stood there, clutching my small bag of medications, the full cost of which I had not paid a single cent for. David looked at me, a soft smile on his face. "Some good people in the world, Arthur," he said quietly. I nodded, wiping a tear from my cheek. "Yes, David, there truly are." I walked home feeling lighter than I had in years, the medication bag feeling like a feather in my hand. It wasn't just the money saved. It was the kindness, the pure, unexpected generosity from a complete stranger. It reignited something deep inside me, a belief that I hadn't realized had dimmed so much. I sat in my armchair, the one Eleanor loved, and just let the feeling wash over me. The fear of being a burden, my internal nemesis, had been silenced, not by my own strength, but by the strength of human connection. The next morning, I woke up with the same knee aches, but my heart felt lighter. The world seemed a little brighter, a little less daunting. I started looking for ways to pay that kindness forward. I still didn't have much money, but I had time, and I had experience, and I had a newfound eagerness to connect. I started by helping my next-door neighbor, Mrs. Rodriguez, carry her groceries in from her car, something I used to do for Eleanor. I fixed her sputtering sprinkler system, a task I would have seen as a chore before, but now felt like a privilege. I found a local community center looking for volunteers to help with their senior outreach program, making phone calls to check in on elderly folks who might be feeling lonely. I started spending a few hours there each week, listening to stories, offering a kind word, just being present. I realized that my independence wasn't just about managing on my own, but about being part of something bigger, a web of kindness and support. A few months later, I was at the community center, helping to organize a small book drive for local children. I was carefully stacking paperbacks when I looked up and saw her, the young woman from the pharmacy. She was laughing with another volunteer, helping a child pick out a storybook. Our eyes met across the room. She smiled, a little shyly at first, then a warm, knowing smile spread across her face. I walked over to her, my heart swelling with gratitude all over again. "Hello," I said, my voice steady this time. "It's Arthur from the pharmacy." Her smile widened. "Arthur, I remember you. It's wonderful to see you here." I looked around at the bustling center, at the children, at the other volunteers. "You know," I said, "what you did for me that day, it changed something. It reminded me that there's so much good in the world, and it made me want to be part of it, to help make someone else feel that light." She just nodded, her eyes soft. "That's exactly it, Arthur. It's a ripple, one act of kindness, it just keeps going." And then a little boy no older than 5 ran up to us, clutching a well-worn copy of a storybook. "Look, Miss Sarah," he exclaimed, holding up the book. "I found the one I wanted, Miss Sarah." Her name was Sarah. Just then, my phone buzzed in my pocket. It was a message from David, the pharmacist. "Arthur," it read, "just letting you know that new breathing medication you're on. The manufacturer just announced a new patient assistance program. Your next refill will be fully covered. Looks like things are truly looking up." I looked from my phone to Sarah, then back to the joyful face of the little boy with his book. A small smile touched my lips. Eleanor always used to say that life had a funny way of working itself out if you just kept your heart open. And she was right. Sometimes, all it takes is one act of unexpected kindness to turn everything around, to show you that even in the quietest struggles, there's always a hand reaching out, ready to lift you up, and a chance to pass that hope along.